What's up, guys? This is Adam Gillespie with Rancid and Sweaty Calves coming at you with yet another video. Thanks for tuning in today, guys, and I really hope that you guys can make it through this video with me. This is only a 4-minute, 45-second video, but it's Grace Randolph, so every second of it is going to be hell. In case you don't know who Grace Randolph is, she is quite possibly one of the most unintelligible reviewers of media and content in the world. And her voice is like nails on a chalkboard. It really is. It's actually worse than nails on a chalkboard. I would prefer nails on a chalkboard and glass shrieking across plates or forks scraping across plates compared to her voice. And you'll see what I'm going to talk about when I'm talking about this. But today I'm going to be reacting to her live reaction all the way back from February 13th about the Lord of the Rings of Power trailer. And boy, is it ridiculous how unintelligent she is in regards to the Lord of the Rings franchise and what it is. You guys will get a pick of what it is, or you'll notice what it is. But goodness gracious, this is going to be hard to watch. I hope you guys can stick with me through this, and I hope I don't make a video that hurts your ears. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get into this video. Before I do, though, I really want to say thank you to everyone who's subscribed. I know it's only 20 right now, but I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I also appreciate the people who have been viewing my videos not too long ago. Not too long ago, I got like 200 views, or close to 200 views, on a review of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I never thought that I'd get 200 views or near 200 views on a single video. I'm actually astonished that there are that many people out there who clicked on my video, of all videos, and watched through it and actually looked at it and thought, oh yeah, this is good. I'm blown away by it. I appreciate everyone who's been coming here. And I even got like 7 comments on one of my last videos. I know it's not a lot in comparison to other YouTubers, but it means so much to me, and I do appreciate it. You guys are great. With that being said, I hope I don't drive like 50 of you away. I mean, I know that like I don't have 50 subscribers, but I hope that all 20 of my subscribers don't unsubscribe because of this video. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. Prepare your ears. I accidentally caught a glimpse of this shriek as I was pulling up the video. Oof. Prepare your ears. It's gonna be heart wrenching. All right, and here we go.
Everybody wants to be the new Game of Thrones.
Oh, that shriek! Goodness gracious! Look at that! Oh, that shriek! And okay. So let me gather my thoughts. That shriek is disorientating. Okay. So she goes, everybody wants to be the next Game of Thrones, and I'm purposely trying to play down the shrieking of the voice. She's really equating Lord of the Rings to Game of Thrones. She's really equating Game of Thrones as to being the inspiration for Lord of the Rings. Are you serious? Lord of the Rings came out in like the 1940s. I mean, goodness gracious, woman. Like I don't actually remember exactly when it came out, but it's old, and pretty much every fantasy thing in the modern era you can thank due to Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones has nothing on Lord of the Rings. Not only that, but I could tell from the few clips that I saw online that it was a garbage show. And I know I'm going to get some backlash on that. People are like, no, the first 7 seasons were great. It was the 8th one that sucked. I don't care. If you don't finish strong, the rest of your stuff is going to be impacted by that. So I know I'm kind of rambling right now, and I've taken about an extra minute to kind of talk about how much I dislike that comment. And that's typically I would do that because I'm trying to avoid having to go back to the shrieking, howling voice of this woman. So let's go ahead and get into the video again. I apologize if you guys have already had bloody ears. Just get some cotton swabs and clean them out and try to get back to me, alright?
Even Game of Thrones! But so far, I mean, Game of Thrones couldn't even finish strong. That's how difficult fantasy is, especially...
Okay, so she just encapsulated how difficult fantasy is. It's really not that difficult. Game of Thrones failed because they went too political. They had some political writers, and they attempted to make a story that would seem less political than it was, but they couldn't encapsulate it, and they had this poor writing because no one actually was taught how to write on Game of Thrones. And again, this is just from what I've actually seen, what I've heard about, what I've reviewed in my own free time. I haven't cared to watch this stupid show, Game of Thrones. I haven't cared to sit down and review it. I don't want to. I don't want to poison my brain with that garbage. Because pretty much everything fantasy related, if it's not Lord of the Rings, it's going to be hard to really grasp me, because if it's not something as impactful and meaningful as Lord of the Rings, with as much care and attention to detail as Lord of the Rings, it's probably going to fall flat in some way, shape, or form. And then there's things like Star Wars that are not fantasy, but they're kind of like sci-fi, but they are fantasy. It's a weird thing. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on. I do apologize for her shrieking voice. It is hard. It is really hard to pay attention when she's talking the way she is. All right, let's go ahead.
Live action fantasy. Amazon seems to have had some success with the Wheel of Time. Not a lot of people ever talked about it like anywhere on the internet, except...
She just admitted no one is talking about Wheel of Time. And the reason why no one's talking about Wheel of Time is because it's a garbage show. They take some of the most important things to the franchise of Wheel of Time, some of the most important details to the actual story. If you guys haven't read Wheel of Time, I'd suggest going to read Wheel of Time. The Chosen One has to be a dude, because there's this dark power or something like that that can poison men when they're using it. And the Chosen One can risk becoming evil because of the way that the power is inflicted upon them. And Wheel of Time doesn't do any of that. They make it like a gender neutral power that can be acquired by anyone who so pleases to acquire it. And it's just this stupid thing. And they make this whole women empowerment story and all this other stupid stuff. And Wheel of Time takes everything about the original source material and turns it into a joke and makes it into something that's not worth watching. So first of all, don't go watch this show. It's terrible. It's garbage. And second of all, the reason why no one is talking about it is because it's so garbage. Now, I know this is going to be a long video if I keep interrupting, so I'm going to try and just talk over and react raw to what it is that she's saying. So let's
maybe there are hidden pockets, but we know from the Nielsen charts that a lot of people watched it. People sure are talking about this Lord of the Rings show, but it's a really controversial show before even airing, before even this trailer dropped,
she's even highlighting really
which I think is a shame. I love the fact that the show is so inclusive, and how can you be against it?
There it is. She loves the fact that the show is so inclusive, because that's all these people talk about. All reviewers like Grace Randolph or those so-called super fans talk about is inclusivity, inclusivity. Look at the black elf. Look at the black hobbit. Look at the black dwarf. That's all they care about. It's not actually, take a look at the story and how much it actually cares about the source material. It's not take a look at the story and actually see how much it cared to make a well-rounded, important, intricate, detailed story. It's not anything like that. It's, oh, look at the inclusion and diversity. Let's move on.
And you can see how much it means to a number of fans of color of fantasy. I agree that it should reflect...
It's all about appealing to certain groups of people. Just make a story. Just make a story that everyone's going to love. Tolkien already did that with Lord of the Rings. Infecting with identity politics is only going to drive other people away. It's not going to unite anyone. It's not going to make anyone feel any better about it. It's not going to make anyone enjoy it more. It's just going to drive more people away from the franchise.
The audience that's watching it. And they would like everyone to watch it.
You know what you could do to make everyone watch it?
Inclusive entertainment means...
just...
It's open to everybody to come watch it.
Or make it off the source.
All right, so let's take a look at this. This is also an incredibly expensive show. Let's see if it looks...
She's going to react to the trailer now.
Looks expensive, and I'm also looking...
She's like, let's see if it looks expensive.
...to see if it draws us in. Is it too...
Does it draw us in?
...late for a Lord of the Rings show? A lot of us are not at all familiar with this mythology.
She just admitted that she doesn't know anything about the mythology of Lord of the Rings. She even asked, is it too late for a Lord of the Rings show? A lot of us are unaware of the story. Maybe you should pick up the books and read them. Huh? Maybe you should do that. Read the books, read the source material, and then tell me that any of this identity politics that Amazon's shoving in and into the story and shoving down fans' throats is actually worth anything. Do that, and then maybe come back and review it when you actually have some cognitive awareness of what it is that Lord of the Rings is all about. All right, let's go ahead and move on.
So it's going to have, we're not going to be like, oh, look at that. We're going to have to be drawn in on the story. All right, and the show itself. All right, here we go. It's a minute
it's
spot.
It's impossible. This is a terrible commercial.
Haven't you ever wondered what else
Ooh. Expensive.
What, the CGI? The fake buildings? Do you think that they actually made that stuff in the middle of England? Oh my goodness. I'm sick of that. I really am. Look at her.
This is gorgeous.
Literally staring at the screen, not reacting to it much at all. Oh, it's gorgeous. really kind of just looks like some bad video game CGI, if you ask me.
For the fellowship.
You know, Shadow and Bone is another great fantasy.
Then maybe you should go watch that, huh? Maybe you should go watch that, or read that, or enjoy that. Maybe you should go focus on looking at Shadow and Bone. Don't take what is in Shadow and Bone and try to inflict it upon Lord of the Rings, because and did you see that elf catch that arrow? If elves are really, I mean, sorry, that's an imposter elf. It's not really an elf, because we all know that elves are actually tall, fair skin and lighter than the majority of other living beings. So this is kind of like an imposter elf. I wouldn't be surprised if this was just some wanderer who became part of the elf pact. But if elves were really as fast as this guy was, and how racist is that? The black elf is the fast elf. I find that to be incredibly stereotypical. In any case, if elves could really catch arrows out of thin air, then how is it that any elf ever has lost a fight, or has been shot, or been surprised, or been beaten in any combative situation? They should be, like, absolutely superior. If they can move that quickly, if they can react that quickly and catch arrows, I think they're traveling like 300 yards a second or something like that. I haven't done my math in a while. I haven't gotten out to shoot my bow in a while, so it's a kind of an up in the air thing for me. But in the end, if elves are really that fast, they should never be able to be taken down. But they're not that fast. They're smart, they're agile, they're quick, but they're not fast enough to move quicker than an arrow. Jeez Louise, come on, let's go ahead and move on.
That guy, I think, has the best luck so far.
Oh, of course he does, because he's the Black Elf. Because that's all you care about in this show is diversity. In case you guys don't know, I'm trying to talk
that's
over
pretty
this,
too.
Copywritten. That's pretty too. I'm so sick of this show. It hasn't even come out yet. I don't care.
That's not an adult in it.
One thing I will say is they try to make the dramatic music seem like it's so much more important and so much more valuable than it actually is. Like, they're desperately attempting to make the show seem better than it actually is by putting in the dramatic blah. Because if you have the dramatic blah, it makes it seem more impactful than it really is. But it really isn't. It just kind of shows how lackadaisical and invaluable it is if they need to make all that blah to get this series of fantasy general clips to seem like they have some level of importance to them. Without taking more time than we need to talk about that stupid little thing, that stupid little attempt to make it seem better than it is, I'm going to go ahead and move on, and I'm going to go ahead and let Grace Randolph make a fool of herself.
A child, that's different mythical creatures.
Different mythical creatures.
You know, I gotta say, they work so hard to make this show pretty. I don't know if they...
Oh my gosh, did she just try to emulate Elvis Presley's voice? Like it very much. That's much better. If you're going to try and make it sound like pretty, then actually try to make it sound like you're trying to do Elvis Presley. Goodness gracious, what, were you trying to do Ebonics there? Trying to sound like a black man? Black woman? I don't know. What is it? Trying to sound Southern? Because if you are, it sucks. Don't do that. Don't make stupid sounding accents that don't actually relate to you in any way, shape, or form. Why is it that you watch a fantasy trailer and then you go, "It looks so pretty"? What, are you trying to be Johnny Bravo? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Just react to it like a normal person, would you?
Even it particularly interesting. It seems a little bland.
Of course it does, because there's nothing in it.
I think the only actor that I think is charismatic that really leaps off the screen is this.
Oh, yeah, this is the
I don't know. Is he an elf? I don't know. I'm not. Maybe he's an elf. I don't know. But I think he has the best look.
Black elf.
He looks cool. Everybody else, it looks more like an actor in a commercial. Like this is like.
Oh wow! It looks like an actor in a commercial. The commercial for Lord of the Rings looks like an actor in a commercial. What a stupid comment. Of course they're actors in a commercial. Now maybe she means like a low-budget commercial, but can you really be that incompetent to make that statement and not try to clarify like a low-budget commercial? And the only person she points out is the Black Elf. She's like, yeah, this is the most charismatic-looking person. The guy who was emotionless and expressionless throughout the entire video, throughout the entire trailer, and just has no relation to anything that we've seen before. That's the one with the most charismatic look about them. Like
a commercial to go visit Middle Earth than it is. That's what they call it, right?
The accent.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like Thor and the Nine Realms too. So that's fantasy. Well, it's turned into sci-fi. But, this was what they tried to do with Thor first.
I have no idea.
And it didn't work out. That's interesting. That's interesting. One of the things that really helped
She was just like, oh, it's bland, but oh, I'm so interested.
Game of Thrones was the nudity and the dragons.
Okay. So now she's going to try to make an argument for why it is that Lord of the Rings needs to incorporate nudity and dragons. No, it doesn't. Lord of the Rings is good without nudity, without dragons, without sexual relations. It's good because it focuses on the adventure and the story first and foremost. It doesn't need to focus on anything stupid like nudity or sexual escapades to make the story worthwhile. So if you try to make the argument that Lord of the Rings needs nudity, you, my friend, should never be near Lord of the Rings or creative control of the franchise ever. Just avoid it at all costs, because if you don't, you will ruin the franchise before anyone else has the ability to say, what's going on? Or, hey, Black Elf. That's, yeah. Franchise is already ruined. Goodness gracious.
It helped a lot. And I think this show might be trying to be more dignified.
Maybe it's because Lord of the Rings is
and I don't know if there's money in dignity.
As a show, look at, did you hear what she said? I don't know if there's money in dignity. I'm going to cut the video here. I'm going to cut the video there because I'm going to dissect that, and it's probably going to be a 20-minute video, just me talking about how ridiculous that comment is. There's no money in dignity? If there was money in dignity, more people would be dignified. Of course there's less money in dignity. Doing the right thing has always been more difficult than giving in and doing the wrong thing. Doing the right thing and actually trying to make something worthwhile, trying to if Amazon were to be dignified, or if Game of Thrones were to be dignified, and they actually attempted to make a story that focused on the story first and foremost, instead of relying on stupid things like identity politics, sexual escapades, nudity, and dragons, then we would have much better stories. Game of Thrones would have been a much better show if it didn't focus on all this nudity. Look at all the sexual escapades, brothers sleeping with sisters and cousins sleeping with fathers and mothers, and all this other stupid garbage that Lord of the Rings was never about. But now they're trying to ham-fistedly force in that sort of thing into Lord of the Rings, and it's just going to hurt the franchise. It's going to hurt the franchise, and the fans are going to be livid. I'm already livid, just from hearing the comment that someone thinks that nudity should be injected into Lord of the Rings. Leave it as it is. It doesn't need it. The endless desire to put sexuality into everything and to contort every piece of media into this stupid thing where sexuality is one of the most important details is ridiculous. It's stupid. Just let the story be the story. We don't need to see Gandalf hooking up with Galadriel. We don't need to see a hobbit trying to hook up with a dwarf. We don't need to see an elf trying to get into a weird sexual escapade with 13 men. That would just be terrible. It would completely derail the story and what Lord of the Rings is all about. Leave that out of the story. Leave that out of the content that people love. Leave it out of the lore that people have flocked to for generations. Just leave it out of that. You don't need it. It should not be a part of what Lord of the Rings is. It should not be a part of every little piece of media out there. Media can be different. It doesn't need to have all the same stupid social justice political tropes in it. Lord of the Rings doesn't need any of that. And someone as ignorant as freaking Grace Randolph here saying, I don't know, do people really know anything about Lord of the Rings? Dude, there's almost 200,000 people who have downvoted the Lord of the Rings Amazon trailer because of how stupid this video is. And the only people who are liking it are the shills and superfans and probably the employees who worked on the darn thing, who have been told if they don't do something, if they don't like the video, then they'll get fired. Because that's how these major media corporations operate. They don't actually care about the fans. They put out stuff when they're trying to hide the truth. They're trying to put out the best of what they have, and it's already garbage. And it's failing on every occasion to make an impact. I don't have the words to describe how frustrated Grace Randolph's commentary on this trailer and the actual trailer itself. I don't have the words to describe how frustrated I am about that. About this current culture that we're living in, where we need to inject everything with political ideology, and oh, let's have some sort of weird sexual escapade between 13 characters. Because that's what people want to see. People want to see all this garbage about, ooh, my hoo-hoos and all this other crazy stuff. And I don't want to go into detail because I want to keep this somewhat family friendly. But at the same time, it's just frustrating. It's frustrating beyond belief. We don't need any of this. We don't need Grace Randolph being in the mainstream media, and we certainly don't need Lord of the Rings injecting some sort of political ideology. Amazon injecting political ideology into Lord of the Rings. We don't need that. We do not need that. That is the last thing that we need. I mean, just let it be. You could just leave it at the original 3 movies that Tolkien inspired through his writings. You could just leave it at the original 3 books that Tolkien wrote. You could just leave it at what it is that Tolkien himself wrote and what it is that the movies are based off of. Just leave it at that, and then just avoid all other things. Just don't expand upon it. Maybe you make a video game like Shadow of Mordor or something like that. Or let there be fandoms or fan cons or conventions where people get together and they kind of just express their love of the content that it is they enjoy in Lord of the Rings. But don't do this. Don't do what Amazon is doing. It's to everyone watching. Please go dislike Grace Randolph's video like I'm about to do. Ratio it into oblivion, and then go dislike Lord of the Rings, Amazon's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, because that's going to be a desecration of what Lord of the Rings always stood for. Anyways, I'm done with this video today. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope I kind of get my thoughts across to you. I hope you guys could understand my points. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It's a small thing for you guys, but like I said in the beginning of the video, it means a ton to me. You guys are awesome. Like I said, I nearly got 200 views on one of my previous videos, and it just blew me away. I'm definitely appreciated all that support. I really do. I love you guys. I really do. It's awesome. I'm glad to see that our fellowship is growing, and I hope that it will continue to grow. So again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, share it with your friends. Get this out there. Express your opinion through me if you want to. I mean, I'm down with that. I'm okay with that. All right. Without further ado, I hope you guys have a great day and a great rest of the week. See you next time.